Good afternoon, gang, tribe, friends. It is 10 to 4 on Monday. My name is Jennifer Kruidbos. This is my first Facebook Live and my first scope. And I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible, but today will be a bit longer because I am going to give you a little intro about what it is that I do and then share my 5 tips, which I'll be doing every Monday, ideally around 3, maybe closer to 4, we'll see. So I'm based in Montreal. I'm a yoga therapist, and basically the crux of everything that I do can all fit underneath the category of living more courageous lives, living in a wholehearted way. So I was very inspired by Brené Brown's, sorry, I don't know if this microphone is working. Brené Brown's talk on living wholeheartedly, and how I use that concept in my work is basically teaching people how to be with difficult emotions, be with pain in their body. And the number one tool that I use is yoga as a yoga therapist. And I also use other tools, which I'm going to go into today, whether it's writing blog newsletters, whether it is essential oils, whether it is through conscious activism, meditation, but that fits underneath yoga. So that is everything that I do. And I'm going to go into them in a more granular way. So this is so fun. Hi, Kyle. Hi, Katya. So first of all, the yoga for grief. I'll speak to why I've done this in another video, but basically I teach yoga for grief, and the main way I do that now is through workshops. I do one-on-one sessions. Whether I'm teaching in a festival or in your home, basically there's a practice to help us be with the intense process that is grief, and take away a lot of misinformation, which unfortunately exists around grief, where people think it's a very stagnant state of being sad or angry, when in fact it's a very generative process, and that's just one sliver of it. So I'm going to come back to that in a little bit, but this is just an overview on all the things that I do. So yoga for grief and grief advocacy and awareness is one of them. The second thing is eating disorders. I've been working for the last 3 years with the Children's Hospital, doing about 4 sessions a year with a group of teens there. They're always different. Sometimes it's one-on-one, sometimes it's with a group, and the work that I'm really proud and really happy to see the Children's Hospital including so much holistic practices. I guess that's what you would call yoga. Thank you, Katya. Katja. Again, I'll go into that, but the main thing I do with them is help treat for anxiety, because that's one of the best outcomes or benefits of yoga and essential oils. The third thing is conscious activism. So if you know Sean Corn, if you're a yogi, you definitely know her. If you don't, you should definitely look her up. S-E-A-N-E, Corn, C-O-R-N, like the vegetable. And she started a program called Off the Mat Into the World. It's Yoga in Action. My dear friend, Vanessa McLean, got me involved. So what we do there is we take yoga, and rather than just keep it within the insular, sometimes, white privileged context of a yoga studio, and we take these amazing teachings and we share them and put them into social projects. And there's so much that I could say about that, but those are also workshops that I do, and writing. Then the fourth thing is essential oils. It's another incredible tool. In the last year, I've been working with essential oils. I've been incorporating them into my work, into my yoga classes, into my meditation classes, into the grief workshops, into the eating disorder workshops, and they just are incredible. And I now have 120 families that I am supporting. And when I say support, I'm not financially supporting them. That would be very difficult, but I'm supporting them in terms of education, which is one of the reasons why, another reason why I'm making these scopes and Facebook Live videos now, because I just can't reach everybody. I can't have a phone call with everybody or email everyone. So I'm just answering all the questions in these videos. And yeah, and then 15 of those 120 are they're wanting to build their essential oil business. They are pretty much all of them are yoga teachers. Are they all yoga teachers? I think they are. So I'm supporting them to help them learn how to do that, because a lot of people, especially in my world, they're uncomfortable with yoga or capitalism, or they're very sort of like fight the system type people, but which is fantastic. But within that, there can be some maybe lacking confidence or education with how to build a sustainable social business. That's actually a very positive thing. And then the fifth thing that I do that I will talk about in these videos is transforming the workplace. And I do that in many ways. Well, I have a studio in the Sun Life building in downtown Montreal. And I go into companies and teach them health practices and teach them yoga and teach them meditation, and also subcontract teachers. And we actually, my friend Jen Wendy and builder and like hetero life partner, I have a few of them, Rebecca and Vanessa are also, and Nat Riviere and Nat Cacon, hetero life partners. With Jen Wendy, we've created a training that we gave last spring, which was so awesome. And we actually train teachers on how to bring yoga into the workplace. So there's no timer on this. I don't know how long I've been talking, but hopefully not too long. I'm just going to go into, so these are the 5 things that I do. Let's just recap. Grief, yoga for grief, eating disorders, conscious activism, essential oils and entrepreneurship, that goes together, and transforming the workplace. And anything can be a workplace. Right now I'm standing in my kitchen and I'm standing at my standing desk. So this is my workstation, and I'm keeping it vibrant by standing and not sitting and sort of bouncing around. And when I turn this video off, I'll be blasting the music and sort of dancing as I write my emails and do my invoicing and everything I have to do. So those are the 5 things I do, and what I want to really offer you guys is value and content, and eventually answer your questions. So maybe not today because I'm not sure with the flow. You could still ask me a question and I'll try to answer it at the end. What I will do is give you a piece of content, something that you can use and take home. So today with grief, I'm going to actually blend my grief work with thank you, Christine, with my conscious activism today, because I watched over the weekend Before the Flood. Have any of you watched that? It's amazing. It's free on YouTube. It's Leonardo DiCaprio and National Geographic's film or documentary on the environment. Okay, I'll see you later, Katya. And what I noticed, what I loved, just go watch it. And if you're feeling some resistance to watching it, notice that. And I had that with the environmental issues for a long time, because they're so immense and they're so overwhelming that we're like, what can we possibly do? And in many ways, that's very similar to experiencing grief. And we are grieving the planet, right? We're grieving how we've lost decades and decades of just being irresponsible and being so wasteful with our resources. And there's a deep sense of grief there. And we're grieving, the loss of the species that have become extinct, and grieving, coral reefs and everything that have been destroyed. So how can we process this? And it's not to be stuck in feeling the pain, which is the misinformation, what people think grief is all about, you guys. Grief is actually a process of going from starting with accepting the loss, feeling the pain, and then beginning to adapt to an environment without the loss. And this is what I love about the documentary, is that it has a very positive, it ends on a positive note, that there are like tons of things that we can do. Okay, and when I teach grief work, the people, like I'll speak for myself, when it was the most detrimental to my life, it was when I was not willing to feel it, when I was not willing to be with those difficult emotions. And I think the same is true for a global grieving. When we're just not wanting to feel or deal with this, we become very tunnel vision, and we get into, even the yogis, I call it our yoga bubble, that we just want to do our practice and not really think about what's going on in the world. So part of the grief practice is being able to be with those difficult emotions and then start to adapt to an environment without the loss. So adapt to an environment that needs us to ask politicians to invest in cleaner energy, that needs us to maybe not eat meat once a week or more, or go totally vegan if you're ready for that, but you absolutely don't have to if you're not. Just to start taking action. So do you see the connection here? I hope I've been clear. This is my first video, so I'm still working on clarity of message and key message. So just to recap, our conscious activism can also be a way of dealing with our own global grief, which can be being with the pain of what's happening in the world, and then adapting to environment without the loss. So long story short, you can check out Before the Flood movie, and the website has great links for how to take action, for what you can do. Thank you, Dagmar. Oh, God, so good to see your little name and beautiful photo there. Check out beforetheflood.com. There's lots of actionable steps, guys. Okay, we're not helpless, passive victims here. We can actually do something. And of course, so I'm in Canada. I'm in Montreal. There are so many great local organizations. I'm biased because one of my best friends married the founder of Equiterre. And he's my friend now too, though. So I should say, actually, my friend. That's an incredible organization. So maybe you want to donate there, or maybe you want to volunteer, or and the studies have shown, right? There is an article in the New York Times by the Dalai Lama that says we feel the most hopeless, we feel the most down and upset in our lives when we don't feel appreciated or needed. Right? So if we're just not doing anything in the world, we're going to feel worse. And that sense of hopelessness can just take over and make us really bitter and stagnant. So take a little bit of action. Okay? So that is my grief and conscious activism together in one tidbit. And moving on, in the eating disorders and body image, whether you have an acute eating disorder, whether it's anorexia or bulimia, or maybe it's just that hint that I would argue that from what I've seen in the last few years of the clients that I work with and speaking to my own experience, we all have a little bit. Very short and sweet today, which is relaxation and education, right? There is comorbidity between eating disorders and anxiety. That just means similar symptoms. So if you can treat for the anxiety, then that can help give a little bit of space to adopt perspectives and eating habits which are more rooted in listening to your body, listening to what it wants, and bye Dagmar, and rather than trying to control the body or control how it looks. So very simple. Rest, lie down. It's so simple. Just lie on your back in Urdhva Shavasana. That just means lying on your back with your knees bent, or have a hot bath. And so it's relaxation and education. Start to get educated. There is an incredible, incredible writer on this issue called Geneen Roth. She's amazing. She has so many good books. Women, Food, and God is one. Feeding the Hungry Heart. Start to learn about, even if you have a hint of it. And I know there can be pushback, like, oh, well, I don't have an eating disorder, or I don't have to look into this. But there's no harm in learning about something. Who knows, maybe you'll be able to support a family member or support someone you know. So get educated. Also, the beauty myth, this ties into the conscious activism too, but if you want to learn about how, this is more for women, I guess, with eating disorders. I've worked with men and women, and the commodification of women's bodies and just the patriarchy, the patriarchal system that we're living within that tells us we have to look a certain way. So get educated and relax. Honestly, relaxing and chilling, I like to call it radically chilling, is one of the best things that you can do for your body, for your well-being. Okay, number 4, essential oils. Oh, this is I'm just so passionate about this. Very short and sweet. My tip, since I'm going to keep it cohesive with my environmental spin this week, and my tip today is look at David Suzuki Foundation. Look at their website. They have this super cute blog called The Queen of Green. I don't know if anyone has read it, The Queen of Green. And it gives all these recipes on how to clean your home using essential oils. It's amazing. And when you do that, think of the energy that it takes to, let's say, your bottle of cleaner that you have to make and put all these chemicals together, and then you have to make the plastic, and then you throw the plastic out. If you simply just use an essential oil blend, which I'll tell you about. This one I've been using a lot. It's called On Guard. I'll show Facebook Live here and Periscope here. You take some water, you put in your vinegar, you put in your baking soda. If you want to know the exact amounts, Google it. It's definitely accessible. You can Google all of this, or I'll put links for you. And use that to clean your home. It's super clean. It's not it's not toxic. It's not toxic for yourself. It's not synthetic for your body. It's better for the environment. So this is my essential oil feature. And a lot of you, if you've ordered essential oils with me and they're sitting in your cupboard and you don't know what to do with them, I'm giving you a first actionable step so you can really use it. This is for Antonietta, who ordered them. For who else? Kathy Riviere. I know you've said, I don't know what to do. Okay, so here's an actionable step you can take. This blend called On Guard is a mixture of orange, clove, cinnamon, eucalyptus, and rosemary. They're very antibacterial and they smell amazing. They smell so good. And I even, believe it or not, you can even drink this. This is how clean it is. You're cleaning your home with something you could even drink. This is a blend that just completely changes the cold season. Really helps you stay healthy because they're so antibacterial that they're keeping everything clean. Oh, and then so you can make your big bucket to clean floors and things. And if you just want to make a little counter cleaner, or if you want to create a little hand sanitizer, same thing. This is a little blend that I took just water, so you can see it's maybe about a cup of water, and then 10 to 15 drops of essential oils. I mean, this is like pennies per drop. I think we calculated it's like 14 cents per drop. So it's like $1.40, this thing, compared to crappy, disgusting, toxic hand sanitizer that's at least, it's not expensive, but at least double or triple that. And then you can just spray it right on your hands. And then my hands smell like cinnamon and clove. They smell amazing. And everything's clean, or I can wipe it on counters, wipe it on whatever surface that I want to clean. So those are my essential oil tips. Enjoy. So essential oil tips for the customers that are buying from me. And now I'm speaking to the 15 people that I've been working with in the last 6 to 9 months, who also want to build their business and they're not sure where to go, or maybe for someone who's using the oils and thinks they want to start the business, or maybe hasn't even started using oils yet, and they want to, and they're not sure where to go from there. And I'm going to answer one specific question that I got from a few of you guys this week, which was, Jen, I'm really loving working with doTERRA oils. I'm loving working with you, but I realize that I'm not attracting any other people that are as enthusiastic about me or that want to build the business. I'm attracting lots of people that want to buy essential oils from me, but no one that really wants to, dive in and give classes and enroll people and do all of that. So the first thing I'm going to say is that that's totally normal. That's totally normal because 90% of people that use and that enroll with doTERRA oils, 90% of them are just customers because the oils are incredible. They support their health and change lives just by using them. Okay, so don't worry about it. That's totally normal. The second thing is that ask yourself, how are you showing up? Okay, are you talking about how much you love using the oils? And I watch all of you on social media, not in a scary way, but I know all of you. I love you. I'm talking right now to Patricia and Jen Wendy and Christine and Emily and Joanna a little bit too, and Estelle when she's ready. Are you talking about how much you love the oils? You'll attract people that love the oils. Are you talking about how you love building this business and it's been so exciting and you're so empowered and oh my God, and do you want to build this with me? That's a very different message. And you're going to attract a very different person. And more than that, people might not even know that that's even an option. So when I spoke to a couple of you about this, what you said was, I feel afraid. I feel a bit uncomfortable. I don't want to make other people uncomfortable. I don't want people to think that I'm trying to sell them something or I'm trying to manipulate them or all these or I'm afraid of being judged. That was a big one too. All these sort of, fears and thoughts that are very universal. And there are two things that I'm going to say to that. One is that people are probably judging you already. So, because that's what, we like to do, what our ego mind likes to do. People are probably judging me right now. And I just had to work. It took me a while to get here to just be like, well, that's going to happen. And that's okay. And more than that, the more that you start to step up and share your message more clearly in a public forum, more and more people are going to judge you. So that's just a reality that you can practice becoming comfortable with. And then the second thing, if you're feeling uncomfortable with talking about the business that you're doing, and look, these can be with people that are doing the doTERRA business with me, or anyone, whether you're just a yoga teacher trying to build your brand. Hi, Phil, who, if you're like Phil, who did this awesome Yoga TRX brand, or if you're any entrepreneur, if you're afraid to step up there and share it. Sorry, I always lose my train of thought when I see my friends, so I'm going to try to not look at that screen. I'll look at this screen. Really connect to why you're doing it. Now, most of you working with me are yoga teachers, okay? So you didn't become a yoga teacher because it's such a lucrative business, right? So that probably means that you're somebody that is driven by things other than money. Money probably isn't a huge driver for you, right? You're probably more driven by service, by helping people, by, helping the world, feeling good in your body. So if you know that about yourself, if the only motivation that you can connect to build a business that is beyond your normal freelance yoga teacher teaching business or yoga studio, right? If you can't connect to something larger, it's going to be hard to get motivated. And I realized when I was a bit less connected to my big dream and vision, which I'll share with you in a moment, I would feel a little bit tired. And when I would give classes, I'd feel a bit like, a bit just a bit like flat after. But now when I give classes, I'm like so pumped. I'm so energized after, because I just see my classes as another tool. I see the financial ease that I'm creating as another tool to create this larger project, this larger vision for myself that gets me so excited because it touches me on such an incredibly deep level. And I was writing with Nina last week, who's a lovely, awesome lady on my team in Toronto. And she says, okay, the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to empower people to live their best lives. And I said, that's great, but it's way too vague. It's not something that I think you can really get behind. I want you to truly connect to something that impacted you on a personal level, on an emotional level. Like, why are you doing this? Like, if you're going to build your business to like a silver or gold or diamond business, and you're going to be having like a 6-figure income, like you're going to be able to do tons of amazing stuff. Because if you're like me, you're probably very happy and satisfied living on like 50, 60 grand a year, right? So what are you going to do with all that extra? And connecting to that can really help you. So this is what, when I've gone inwards in my sitting, in my meditation, this is what I've come up with. It's something that is part of my lineage, part of what I believe I'm meant to do here in the world, which has to do with addiction. So both of my parents worked in drug addiction support. That's how they actually met. Okay, my mom was in London working for a very well-known endocrinologist. Endocrinology is the study of hormones. Okay, and my father was working in social work to help heroin addicts. Okay. My mom working with this endocrinologist, they were doing a study as well for heroin addicts to help them get off the drug, to help them get clean and get sober. And part of how they did that, she just told me this, within the last year, not that long ago, was using acupuncture, okay? This was like a legit London hospital in the 70s using acupuncture to help create the same endorphin release, right? Because endorphins come from they're secreted. They have to do with our hormonal system. So what would happen is that it would actually work. The drug addicts would come, they would be addicted to heroin. The acupuncture practice would help secrete the same endorphins that were produced from their using drugs. Great, right? However, the problem was that once they were straight, once they were no longer addicted on a physical level or a biochemical level, what did they do with their lives, right? All of their friends were users. There was no infrastructure. There was no community. There wasn't any like fun, healthy yoga community, right? Or that they were part of that was like helping them to eat well and exercise and do personal development. They didn't have any of that. So they would just go right back to their old ways of living, unfortunately. So that project had to end. And similar to the work my father was doing at Portage, which is a drug rehabilitation center that many of you probably know if you live in Montreal, that it's more of a 12-month program. And they had some program, 12 months and addicts would mostly have very good success, not being addicted anymore. But then once that would end, there wasn't this like reintegration into a day-to-day life. Because let's face it, even when you're no longer addicted to heroin, if you're not addicted to drugs, life is still like an emotional roller coaster, right? I'm not taking any drugs or have any addictions that are controlling my life, and life is still ups and downs. Ask any of my friends or ex-boyfriends. Like, that's the reality. So it doesn't end there. So just having that support afterwards. Caroline, hi Caroline. So having that support afterwards was like a missing piece in the puzzle. And yes, now we are 40 years later, but this is what I feel I can bring. And when I think about when I'm going to get to various ranks like diamond or blue diamond, I'll be making like far more money than I could ever imagine or need. Like opening this center and supporting people, like that just lights me up so much. So I'm like, yes, I'm going to show up for this class. I'm going to tell people about the business. I'm going to let people know. Okay. And then so that comes down to connect with your why, like what has touched you and your family and your life. Get super clear. Marcy, woman on my team, she's adopted her children. She told me how she wants to create scholarships for other families to adopt because it was so expensive for her and her husband. So that drives her, so what drives you? Not just something vague, like something that and you can tell me if you're on my team and you want to work on that. So that is coming down to the why. And then when it comes to I'm going to talk about you, Maddie, so stay here. I'm going to say something. When it comes to the pushy part, the thing is, like, don't be pushy. Just educate and be clear. Okay, educate and be clear. So when you're talking about the oils, whether it's in a class or it's to friends, or if it's in your newsletter, if you're a yoga teacher and you have a newsletter already, or it's on Facebook Live if you're going to do videos like this, or Instagram, or however you communicate to the world. Talk about your passion, share what you're doing, and let people know how they can get involved. And then after that, you just let the people come to you that want to, but at least let yourself be known, and at least reach out with a kind, inquisitive message. And if you want to, write to people directly, yeah, maybe you'll feel a bit fearful, but the worst thing they're going to say is no. The worst thing they're to do is going to maybe judge you. But if you don't, these people are missing out on a really incredible community and opportunity that could really change their lives. So if Maddie hadn't written to me in December 2014, it took me 11 months to come back to her. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. I was too in my own stress in my own life. But if she hadn't had done that, and if Elena Brouwer hadn't been Instagramming about how she loved all these oils, then I never would have known and started using them just, to clean my home, on my skin. I wouldn't have started living a cleaner life. I wouldn't have been able to proactively reduce my carbon footprint, which I'm able to do now because I use oils for a lot of my cleaning. I wouldn't have been able to go completely vegan because I was being kind of lazy about my B12 and my supplements, and I was like, I'm not going to really do this. But when I joined doTERRA, they make supplements, so I could do that. So I'm really grateful that opportunity came to me, and I want to be able to share that opportunity with others. So if you're one of those people on my team that were like, I'm not attracting builders and I'm not really comfortable to talk about it and I feel shy, I hope I've helped you and I hope I've answered your questions. And if not, you can ask me more. Maybe next week you guys will have questions for me. And then the final thing, the tidbit that I'll give you today is for the work that I do in the workplace. So anything is a workplace this day and age, anywhere where you have internet connection pretty much. But if you are in the office, I didn't write it down, so I don't remember what I was going to tell you guys for your in the workplace tip. Oh yes, I do. This is really incredible to know. Did you know that being seated for 8 hours, being sedentary for 8 hours in a day, and then going and working hard at the gym has less positive impact on your body than sitting for 50 minutes, 55 minutes, and then getting up and sort of moving around and moving your arms around and stretching just for 5 minutes and then sitting back down every hour. So my tip for bringing more health and wellness into your workplace is just bring more movement into your day. And I work with amazing clients now. I think, again, the more, confident I'm getting and the more excited I'm getting about this work, I'm just attracting these corporate clients that are so amazing. I am working with this one company. They're offering a full hour of yoga and a full hour of meditation to their team every week for free. They're paying for it. They've gotten essential oils to make over their whole office. So there's a little oil bar and everyone can take care of themselves. So that's getting people up and down. They're diffusing lemon and orange into the office, into the space to keep everyone feeling good and pumped up. So get up, move around, and you can just do this. You can't really see my arms here. I have a microphone, so I can't go back, but just roll your arms around, stretch up, do these things. It changes your headspace, walk around your space. Don't get so stuck in your head and in your zone, okay, if you can. So that's it. Thank you guys. Hi, Barbara. I'm just ending. Well, you joined. But I will see you next week. I will commit to 3:30, okay, next Monday. And if you write me questions between now and then on any of those topics, grief, eating disorders, essential oils, entrepreneurship, vibrant workplace, conscious activism, it's getting longer, the list, but that's it. We're capping it at 6. Please write me anything and I will talk to you about it next week. Thank you so much. Bye. I don't know how to finish.